I just watched President Donald Trump's speech, and then I watched CNN for their commentary, and I listened to my friend Van Jones, and I had to stop because Van just completely got whitewashed. And what I mean by that is this, or maybe I should say Trump washed. But Ryan Owens' wife, Mrs. Ryan Owens. Ryan Owens is our veteran who was killed in combat in the Yemen raid, which, even though it was planned months in advance under the Obama administration, the intent of the Yemen plan was to use drones and basically military automation to conduct the operation. But when President Trump took over, he wanted to send in troops. And so Officer Owen's life was taken unnecessarily. To use that tragedy and the loss on the part of Mrs. Owens was horrible. But for Van to hold that moment in President Trump's joint session speech to Congress up as his presidential moment just made me absolutely throw up. The simple fact of the matter is that it is generally agreed in politics that there are some issues, some subjects, some situations that are off limits. One of them historically has been the loss of life on the part of those serving our country in combat for missions that were questionable or by some considered unjust or unnecessary. That, the Yemen raid, qualified as one of them. But we allowed, some of us, not me, but Van Jones, allowed President Trump to have, of all of his moments, that situation as his moment to be considered president. Van, I don't know if you were paid off by someone to do that, but I have to tell you, my friend, you're completely wrong, and I absolutely disagree with you on that point. Now, yes, Donald Trump did give a great speech considering what we've seen from him. I'm going to give him that. He rose to an occasion that the country needed to see. But on a scale of 1 to 10, comparing his speech with, well, those of President Obama, he still ranks a 3, whereas Obama ranks an 8. The simple fact of the matter is that we cannot fall into the trap of giving Donald Trump a pass because he does something halfway okay. We have to have and maintain a high bar standard for all of our presidents of the United States. We don't lower the bar for a president. That's wrong. Because if we lower the bar, that's lowering our standards. And if we lower our standards, that means we allow inappropriate behaviors, inadmissible decisions, incorrect policy, and wrong-headed behavior. And what we could get at the end of the day is something like what we had in 1974. The resignation of President Richard Milhouse Nixon after Watergate. We had that because for Richard Nixon, we lowered the standards. We looked the other way. We praised him for keeping us involved in war. We praised him for being the first to go to China. We praised him for being, in a sense, muscular in his foreign policy. And we looked the other way. What President Trump presented in his joint session was very much the same kind of red meat that causes some, like Van Jones, to stop and change their point of view midstream and applaud him. I don't. I don't. There was a lot left out in President Trump's speech. He did not, for example, at all mention Russia or denounce Russia's involvement in the hacking allegations or its positioning, its aggressive positioning of a warship just a few miles off of our east coast. I could go on and on and on. Yet, we hear what President Trump says, and because of cadence and American political muscularity on display, some of us cower and get on our knees and put our hands up and worship what we hear. That is what I heard Van Jones doing. That is what I will not do. We have to maintain a high standard of expectations for the President of the United States. And I state again that using the loss of a soldier, particularly on the part of his wife, to score political points is just plain wrong. It should not have been done. It was not right.